Imagine a scenario where you're in the mood for a true crime podcast. You take out your headphones and press play on the first recommendation. You're excited to delve into an eerie and chilling case. Is someone missing? Is there a conspiracy about to be uncovered? As you listen to the beginning, you're met with a startling surprise. The podcast sucks. And now imagine that you're listening to a different podcast, one that exceeds your expectations. The storytelling is well done. The details are thoroughly researched. The music is chilling and unsettling. And then there's the best part. You get to listen to my deep and creepy voice. When you listen to Still Unsolved, you get to join us as we bring the true crime genre back to its roots. Every week, we highlight different cases of missing persons, wanted felons, unsolved murders, and the truly bizarre occurrences of life. Subscribe to Still Unsolved wherever you like to listen to your podcasts and join us. With your help, some of these cases may no longer be an unsolved mystery.
You're listening to True Crime Feed. Welcome to True Crime Feed. I'm your host, Angela Ferrari, here to review the best true crime podcasts from the past decade with a teensy bit of humor, plus my top 3 true crime picks of the week. Today on the docket, a show from the archives I think you will really enjoy. Let's discuss the case for Burning Sun from the BBC series Intrigue. Here's a spoiler-free synopsis. A sex scandal threatens to take down a beloved K-pop idol, leaving an entire country divided. Who should they believe? You will soon get your answers. And have no fear, even if you're not a huge K-pop fan, this story will make you obsessed with Korean true crime scandals. Seriously, this disgusting true story makes The Wolf of Wall Street look like a wholesome Hallmark movie. And if you want to take your listening experience to the next level, go to thetruecrimefeed.com and sign up for my newsletter where I curate visual aids to accompany the show. It's a regular K-pop convention this week. I've got visuals to help you keep track of who is who. Personally, I was quite shocked to see how many sweet, innocent-looking youths were involved in such a depraved criminal enterprise. Burning Sun is the 5th season of the series Intrigue from the BBC. I think they are currently on season 8, even though Burning Sun came out just last year. Intrigue investigates everything from European people smugglers to tech entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley going to the extreme in the hopes of achieving immortality. Intrigue Season 2, titled Ratline, is about a love story that results in a very mysterious death. That season is one of my favorites. I'll be doing a deep dive on it in the future. But I think Burning Sun is the perfect season to start with if you're new to Intrigue. It's a tight 6 episodes, easy to follow, even if you're not familiar with the K-pop celebrities. The shock and horror of the story ratchets up with every new episode. Plus, you learn a whole lot of fun factoids about Korean society and culture, like their popular preference for a certain type of reprehensible porn. Yeah, we'll get there. Let me begin our story by introducing you to a K-pop star named Jung Jun-young. He first made it onto the scene in 2012 after competing on a Korean reality competition show, similar to Korea's Got Talent or Korean Idol. He doesn't win the show, but he does earn a huge fan base, consisting of mostly young teenage girls. Jun-young parlays that into a successful solo career, then fronts a famous rock group called Drug Restaurant. I guess Crystal Meth Cafe was already taken. But in spite of this dumb band name, Junyoung amasses even more fans. Then Jung Junyoung goes on to host his own popular radio show. He also made his television debut, starring as a cast member on the reality variety show 2 Days, 1 Night. I would love to see an American version of the show. Here's how it works. Celebrities travel to various destinations around the country over a period of 2 days and 1 night. They compete in various challenges/shenanigans and partake in the local food and culture. Right? Doesn't that sound awesome? Let's get this thing greenlit ASAP. I want to see Nicki Minaj and Christopher Walken go on a riverboat tour in Iowa and compete in a sour cream raisin pie eating contest. All real things you can do in Iowa. Oh, while I'm still waiting for that to take off, K-pop star Jung Junyoung, he makes his way onto the big screen, starring in the Korean rom-com Love Forecast. Now he's a megastar at the zenith point of his career. And aside from being in a band with a risque name like Drug Restaurant, Jung Junyoung has maintained a wholesome reputation. The fans adored him, especially young teenage girls, including one die-hard devotee named Oh. She became obsessed after first seeing him live in concert when she was just 12 years old. From that day on, Oh spent all of her free time listening to his music, looking up news stories, and ogling over pictures of him on the internet for hours on end. This obsession lasted for years. Oh would even dress up in her special traditional Korean hanbok, which is a large billowing skirt with a cropped blouse, an outfit that would be the envy of any Disney princess. So Oh wears this hanbok to dozens of Junyoung concerts so she can stand out in the crowd. And her plan works. Jung Junyoung brought her up on stage to read out loud a fan letter she had written him. So what sorts of salacious thoughts are inside the mind of a Korean teenage fangirl? Well, Oh wrote in the letter that she fantasized about making her K-pop crush delicious steamed buns the size of his head, then feeding them to him. Yeah, maybe a little weird, but the entire contents of this letter was all very innocent. It mostly consisted of Oh expressing her deep-seated desire to make sure Jung Junyoung was well-fed and well-rested. So it came as a huge shock when Oh and all of the other fans learned that a woman went to the police accusing Jung Junyoung of secretly filming a sexual encounter she had with him back in 2016. The authorities took the accusation seriously and launched an investigation, confiscating his phone and electronics. Somehow, a journalist named Park Ho-sil gets a tip-off about these accusations and publishes a story that goes viral. But Jung Junyoung fans, they don't believe it. Instead, they immediately went on the attack against the accuser. No way would their beloved K-pop idol do anything like this. Jung Junyoung is forced to make a public statement. He says that this accuser was an old girlfriend and that this accusation was a joke or retaliation for a bad breakup, and he was completely innocent. The backlash against this accuser gets even bigger, with Junyoung devotees accusing this woman of being a flower snake, aka a deceitful woman who tries to ruin the reputation of innocent, rich and or famous men by making erroneous accusations in the hopes of gaining fame and fortune. Whoa, so you're telling me if this whole podcasting thing doesn't work out, I can just pivot to becoming a flower snake? Sweet, that sounds awesome. Okay, here it goes. You guys, Stanley Tucci stole my grandmother's secret marinara recipe from me, and now he's passing it off as his own. Money, please. I'm about to be poolside, buns up, sipping a daiquiri in Ibiza. Toodles, don't wait up. No, I'm back. That plan did not work. In fact, it totally backfired. I effed around and found out just how beloved Stanley Tucci is. Man, pulling off a successful flower snake scheme is hard, you guys. But still, back in Korea, that's what Junyoung's fans believe. And maybe they were right all along. Because shortly after reporter Park's article hit the stands, Junyoung's accuser changes her story, saying that the tape never existed. She lied, and now she supports Junyoung, dropping all charges, and the police stopped investigating. The online trolls are in a frenzy, continuing to go after the accuser and reporter Park as well. She's now getting sent thousands of hate messages every day, including unsolicited dick pics. Park's career and reputation as a journalist seems to be ruined. She's losing weight, even suffers from a miscarriage, and now she's questioning everything. Junyoung's ex's story sounded so believable, but maybe all along she was being fooled by a deceitful flower snake. And life for the famed K-pop star goes back to normal. For a while, anyway. In 2018, another journalist named Kang Kyung-yoon gets a tip-off that police will be launching a new investigation into beloved K-pop artist Jung Yoon-young. Reporter Kang is sent a copy of a USB drive of Junyoung's phone data that will supposedly prove that he was secretly filming a woman without her consent. She thinks, okay, maybe that original accuser wasn't a snake flower after all. But she's not expecting much from this anonymous USB drive. She does decide to look into it and opens the files. Kang is shocked by what she discovers. Hundreds of messages and videos on Junyoung's device being sent and received in this private group chat via an app called KakaoTalk. The chat consisted of several famous K-pop members and their inner circle. Kang had the unique experience of getting inside the demented mind of young Korean men. And unlike their teen female counterparts, these guys were not expressing their desires of feeding large steam buns to their crushes and making sure they are well fed and taken care of. Instead, Kang unlocks video after video of young women being filmed during sex acts. It's evident that in nearly all the cases, the camera was hidden, and the women had no idea they were being filmed. Even more disturbing, in many of the videos, the women appeared to be inebriated or drugged to the point where the sex acts could not have been consensual. And this is the part of the story where I have to tell you a dirty little secret about South Korea. There is widespread demand for photos and videos of women being secretly filmed. Not just in private homes. Spy cams are hidden in public restrooms, hotel rooms, schools, workplaces, everywhere. Upskirt shots on the subway are a regular occurrence. And these kinds of photos and videos are called molka. And although porn is technically illegal in South Korea, viewers can easily use a VPN and watch molka videos on the Korean version of Pornhub. And there is a high cultural preference for these kinds of videos versus consensual porn with actors where women in the videos are knowingly performing for the camera. In 2018, over 6,000 molka spy cam cases were reported to the authorities. And those were just the known cases. Calling this an epidemic is an understatement. Now, reporter Kang has access to hundreds of secret illegal molka videos from this beloved K-pop artist's phone. Junyoung is in many of them, perpetrating this sexual assault, or he's receiving videos and messages from his friends doing the same. All played for laughs, trying to outshock each other. One girl banging her head so hard that the others in the group chat wondered if she was dead with laugh emojis. The most dehumanizing, degrading treatment you can imagine. The assaults are all bad enough, but then to have the audacity to further mock these young girls that they just victimized, the kinds of girls who made up their devoted fan base, it's unconscionable. Reporter Kang comes across this one video that looks like it takes place at this upscale ski resort chalet. A victim, approximately in her early 20s, was passed out, and multiple men in the room were performing grotesque and sexual acts on her. Kang was able to track the girl down because her name was mentioned on the video and in text exchanges. She sits down with the victim, who admits to being longtime friends with Jung Jun-young, and confirms that she was at the ski resort that weekend, but has no memory of what happened. So Kang shows her the video. She's horrified, angry, but more than anything, she's scared. Afraid of the repercussions this video could do to her reputation if it became public. That girl victimized in the video has no interest in pressing charges and wants to be left alone. So reporter Kang decides to pursue other perps from the Keiko Talk group chat, including the super famous K-pop star Lee Sung-hyun, known by his stage name Seng Lee. So let's just say if Jung Jun-young is like the Adam Levine of K-pop, Seng Lee is like the Justin Timberlake. He started off in a boy band called Big Bang, then had a very successful solo career, not just in the music industry. He starred in movies, TV shows, DJ'd at clubs, and was the face of Korean Tinder. He was also a business tycoon, owning a successful ramen noodle franchise, and he was the founder of the hottest club in the Gangnam district of Seoul, called Burning Sun. This club was K-pop Mecca, the place for average, everyday superfans to bump noodles on the dance floor with the uber rich and famous. The more reporter Kang looked into Seng Lee and his infamous nightclub, the more she realized something wasn't right at the Burning Sun. There were several rumors across message boards of young women going into the club, blacking out, and waking up in a stranger's hotel room, usually at the nearby Le Méridien. After further snooping, Kang learns that this wasn't just a few rogue acts of date rape perpetrated by random clubgoers. This was an organized sex trafficking operation, an intricate part of Burning Sun's business, facilitated by the nightclub staff. MDs, or merchandisers, who worked at Burning Sun would recruit high-roller businessmen to the club to spend money. The MDs would wait on them, making sure all of their needs were met, including supplying them with super illegal drugs and procuring women for them. The VIPs would point out women they found attractive, kind of like they were ordering off a menu. And the merchandisers would bring those chosen girls to the VIP section, where inevitably their drinks would be spiked with gamma-hydroxybutyrate, or GHB, an odorless, tasteless drug that causes the consumer to lose consciousness and memory, but still have control of their physical faculties. Oftentimes, it was the Burning Sun bartenders doing the spiking, lacing drinks with GHB, then serving it to the targeted victim. Reporter Kang got access to message history of Burning Sun workers using the code word water for GHB, as in the high roller at table 12 wants really good water ASAP. Once drugged, the girls and the wealthy men would go to the super secret Hipson room in the back of the club, or go to Le Méridien Hotel, which was part of the same complex. Then the sexual assaults would take place, and they were often filmed while the victim was completely incapacitated. Once the victim regained their consciousness, and if they felt strong enough to go to the police, the GHB would usually be gone from their system. It only remains detectable for about 5 hours after consumed. But some brave victims still managed to come forward. One girl went out to have a night of fun and dancing with her friends. She was in her early 20s, and she was used to drinking on the weekends, so she had a fairly high tolerance. But on this night, after just a few shots of whiskey, she blacked out. Like a whole chunk of her memory was removed from her brain. Eventually, she regained her consciousness and discovered she was in a hotel room with a strange man. It was clear she had just been sexually assaulted and now feared for her life. She begged the man to let her go, and he laughed and asked her to take a selfie with him. She thought this request was absurd. Why would he want evidence of this crime he just perpetrated? But she complies, afraid he might kill her otherwise. Then the girl fled from the hotel and went straight to the police. At that point, there was no evidence of drugs in her system, but she insisted the police check out the CCTV from the hotel and track down the man in the video. But when they rolled back the tape, the video showed no evidence of coercion. The girl was walking normally. Other than the fact that she was without her jacket on a freezing cold night, there was no sign of drug use or any inebriation. So no evidence of a crime from this video, but they were able to identify the man in the video. He went by the nickname Thai Bob, an uber-wealthy businessman from Thailand. When the police questioned Thai Bob, he presented them with this selfie he and the girl took together as evidence that everything had been consensual. But even if they had evidence that Thai Bob committed assault, reporter Kang and her team uncovered that much of the Gangnam police force, including a high-ranking superintendent named Yoon, all colluded with Burning Sun club owners to help cover up any crimes. Yeah, at this point in the series, I was like, why can't these guys just hire sex workers? Obviously not a perfect solution. There's still a whole lot of exploitation happening there too. But at least the sex workers would be aware and for the most part consenting. And yeah, there was plenty of prostitution taking place at Burning Sun, but a lot of these high rollers had a specific preference. They didn't want to date or marry or even hook up with sexually experienced women. They were requesting those virginal Madonna pure types. Basically, the rule was women shouldn't have any sex and men wanted to have tons of sex with lots of different partners. So this whole date rape thing satisfied that disgusting proclivity. And also made it so women would be too scared to report the sexual assaults because they were worried about sullying their own reputation. A scandal like this was hard to prove, they could be charged with false reporting, and risk being deemed unmarriable. In fact, this kind of rape wasn't considered a crime until recently. Until 2013, the definition of rape meant the victim had to be actively fighting off the attacker. But if the woman was unconscious, it was considered quasi-rape. Yes, quasi-rape. Doesn't that make you want to quasi-strangle someone? Justice was moving slow, so the organized sexual assault crime ring went on for years at the Burning Sun. And some of the most famous names in Korean business and entertainment took part. There were rumors spreading online, but most of the vitriol went towards the accusers. I just had such a hard time understanding this on so many levels because, like, a year ago I did an episode about this K-pop star Tablo who was dragged through the mud, harassed relentlessly, all based on a rumor that he faked his credentials from Stanford University. A rumor that was completely false, yet the online bullying ruined this guy's career. Be sure to check out that episode if you haven't already. It's a super juicy one. Basically, an entire country turned on this guy. So it's so weird to me that when it came to these other K-pop stars being accused of sexual assault and revenge porn, it seemed like everyone was quick to jump to their defense. But then a few dominoes started to fall in the other direction. It began with a young man named Kim Sang-kyo, who witnessed a woman being dragged away from the club, and he tried to intervene, but was beat up by Burning Sun staff. The whole thing was caught on video. Kim Sang-kyo pressed charges, and this became a viral news story. Now that a man was out there making these allegations, some of the female victims felt more comfortable speaking out, feeling like their stories might actually be believed now, including a female K-pop celebrity from the girl group Kara named Goo Hara. She came forward to reporter Kang with her own story of being filmed without her consent by an abusive ex-boyfriend. Her story inspired many other Korean women to come forward with their own stories of sexual abuse, sparking Korea's Me Too movement. But of course, with the rise of female empowerment came backlash. A huge rift was growing between feminists and male rights activists, both blaming the other for discrimination. Many young Korean men felt disenfranchised because they were forced to put their lives on hold and do 2 years of mandatory military service, while women were allowed to advance their studies and careers. Women were mad for all the reasons mentioned in the previous 25 minutes of this podcast. Plus, job placement and pay disparities were also contentious issues. The massive divide between the sexes grows wider. Online trolls go after K-pop star Goo Hara and other female accusers. The cyber harassment was relentless. At one point, Goo Hara goes on a late-night talk show, and the male hosts bring up the bullying, mocking her situation, which led to Goo Hara breaking down and crying on live TV. And later, Goo Hara is forced to make a public apology to the hosts for crying and making them feel uncomfortable. Then, one of her longtime friends and fellow outspoken female K-pop star named Sulli tragically took her own life. Sulli had also been a champion of women's rights in Korea, which made her a prime target for relentless bullying. Goo Hara was devastated by her friend's death and publicly shared her grief. A month later, in November 2019, Goo Hara also took her own life. She was just 28 years old. South Korea has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, especially among young people. They even have a term for it. It's referred to as an extreme decision. Over half of women who have been victimized by spy cam recordings admit to contemplating making that extreme decision. Sulli and Goo Hara's deaths ignited a reckoning. The public began to take the sexual assault accusations more serious. Longtime Junyoung superfan named Oh, who used to wear that hanbok to every concert, she grew up and made a documentary film about her disillusionment with her former K-pop idols, interviewing her friends who all once innocently worshipped and supported these entertainers. They talk about how betrayed they felt by the nonchalant sexual assault and secret video recordings. Voices of young women were getting louder. They were demanding action. Regardless of wealth and fame, these men needed to be held accountable. And the shady dealings at the Burning Sun must be stopped once and for all. The police could no longer ignore the mounting evidence and launched a full-scale investigation. Jung Jun-young resigned from the entertainment industry and confessed to secretly recording himself having sex with women. In 2019, he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Sang Lee also resigned from the entertainment industry and tried to distance himself from the club, but he was still charged with sexual battery. In 2021, he was sentenced to 3 years in jail. 3 more K-pop stars from 3 separate boy bands were identified in Junyoung's group chat, including former FT Island member Choi Jung-hoon, who was sentenced to 5 years for his role. Lee Sung-hyun, the acting CEO of Burning Sun, admitted to bribing police officials. Oh, and club owners were also found guilty of tax evasion. But don't worry, you guys, they will all be out of jail soon. People do way longer sentences for drug possession in Korea. Yeah, they have a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to weed, but quasi-rape is less of a biggie. As for the fate of Burning Sun nightclub, the once sizzling hotspot, mecca for K-pop fans, shuttered its doors in disgrace in 2019. I know, bummer, right? In the aftermath of the Me Too movement and the rise of feminist activists, nowadays many young girls expressed zero interest in dating or getting married. The birth rate has plummeted, hovering around 0.8 births per woman, well below replacement rate. There are lots of reasons for this: economic factors, changing societal attitudes, choosing career aspirations over having children. And yeah, those factors are cropping up everywhere, but this country is unique. South Korea's technological advances have far outpaced its cultural beliefs. And perhaps the plummeting birth rate is an unintended consequence of that. Or maybe all those songs that used to get people in the mood for love, they just don't do it anymore. I don't know about you, but R. Kelly just doesn't hit the same. Women who grew up watching these teen idols sing sweet songs and do dorky choreography, that innocence was lost when a bunch of these K-pop stars turned out to be K-poop stinkers. Is the best solution revenge? Some think so. One particularly hardcore Korean feminist activist group called WOMAD, they advocate for mirroring those despicable acts of harassment, secretly filming men, putting those videos online, and making fun of their penis sizes. But this extreme tactic only seems to add fuel to this flaming hot ball of a situation. I still have hope, though, because all it takes is one exemplar, proof that it can be done. A pop icon who is equal parts talented and wholesome, who manages to be super duper hot but hasn't been involved in any sorts of creepy sex scandals. Someone we can feel safe crushing on and enjoy their music. An idol who can heal the malaise that has divided the sexes through catchy songs and banging choreo. Who can transcend the hate, spread enough love to unite an entire country, maybe even the world. I believe the only person who can rescue us from the black hole left in the wake of the Burning Sun scandal is Mars. That's right, Bruno Mars. Yeah, he's had a couple snafus with copyright infringement, gambling debts, and a felony arrest for cocaine. But compared to his K-pop counterparts, Bruno belongs in a nativity scene. And our pool of honorable pop music heroes is dwindling by the day. So please, Bruno, we're counting on you. The weight of the world is on your shoulders. Your perfect hunky shoulders. Wow, what a nightmare, right? But after hearing about the divisiveness in Korea, it makes me grateful for the unity and harmony we have here in America. And it can be easy to underestimate how globally huge K-pop is, and the fact that this scandal took 5 major players out of the game. So to put it in perspective, I kept thinking back to my middle school days of boy bands, and it would be like living through a scandal that involved 98 Degrees, LFO, O-Town, the Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC. Dude, middle school Angela would have exploded from heartbreak. And no songs left to play on my 3-in-1 boombox. Forced to suffer in silent misery. Middle school Angela was very dramatic. Anyway, enough about me. I want to know what you think. Are you a K-pop fan? Have you heard about this insane scandal before? Let me know your thoughts on today's episode. You can email me directly at angela@thetruecrimefeed.com or join the True Crime Feed Facebook discussion group. Keep an open mind and be kind to fellow True Crime Feed friends. Stay tuned till after the break to hear my top 3 podcast power ranking of the week. Hey you. I'm so glad we found each other and get to share our special love for true crime podcasts. I don't ever want you to miss out on a wild story. That would be a crime in itself. So be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app and share your favorite episode with a friend so the next time you see each other, you can splurge about your latest true crime obsession. Thanks for spreading the word, and now back to the show. And we're back. Before we start the ranking, I don't have a full-on miss this week. I'm kind of meh on the latest from Serial. I'm keeping it in my queue to save for later, but I'm definitely not chomping at the bit to listen when a new episode drops. But there are 4 other shows I'd rather be spending time with. So without further ado, here are the 4 shows currently trending that I think are worth a listen. I present to you this week's podcast power ranking.
4, 3, 2, 1.
At the number 4 spot, we have Price of Paradise. Here's a summary from the show page. When ex-bunny girl Jane Gaskin spots the desert island of her dreams for sale online, she decides to risk it all. Trading in their English village home, the Gaskin family relocate to their own private paradise, just off the coast of Nicaragua. And a reality TV crew follows them to film a new show, No Going Back. But soon they discover that paradise has its secrets. The locals claim the island belongs to them, and it's been sold illegally. Jane's not leaving without a fight that will soon turn deadly. Yikes, this one's getting crazy. We have infidelity plus a near-death escape from a burning boat, a deadly battle over land rights, and the reality TV of it all. I see people giving this show and the host a lot of hate, but I strongly disagree with that take. I think she nails the tone, gives you permission to rubberneck stare at this total car wreck of egregious events when you tune in to Price of Paradise. At the number 3 spot, we have the Jinx podcast. Here's a rundown from the show page. The official Jinx podcast takes listeners behind the scenes of the HBO documentary series directed by Andrew Jarecki that became a real-life murder investigation. The show revisits all 6 episodes of Part 1 and will serve as the companion piece to the Jinx Part 2. Okay, to say I was obsessed with this documentary when it came out is an understatement. It's all I wanted to talk about for months, so getting to revisit this case with new information and behind-the-scenes details feels like a gift-wrapped birthday present. It's so bingeably good. There's so much about Robert Durst that I think puts him in a different category than other serial killers. And I would love to discuss this further, so come find me in the Facebook discussion group after you tune in to the Jinx podcast. At the number 2 spot, we have White Devil. Here's a synopsis from the show page. Late on the night of Friday, May 28th, 2021, a single gunshot shattered the silence along the beach just outside of Belize's luxury Alaya resort. By the next morning, the tiny nation in Central America was riveted by one of the biggest, splashiest, and most perplexing crime stories in its history. This show was originally set to drop months ago, but there was a long delay. I was worried the whole project got scrapped, but nope, and it was well worth the wait. The first 2 episodes have dropped, and it's a banger so far. I'm already changing my theories and opinions on what I think happened and who I think is culpable. And again, we're only on episode 2, and we haven't even fully dug into the billionaire Illuminati conspiracy stuff yet. Get ready for a trip to hell when you listen to White Devil. And at the number 1 spot, we have Beyond All Repair. Here's a reminder from the show page. Imagine you're accused of something horrific. You swear you didn't do it, but someone says they witnessed it. Your own brother. Sophia Johnson was newly married with a baby on the way when she became the prime suspect in her mother-in-law's brutal murder. Armory Siverston re-examines a case unsolved, a family torn apart, and the woman who wasn't believed. That's a series wrap on Beyond All Repair. It was not the ending I was hoping for, but I feel like we did get the truth. Armory is a luminary rock star for this reporting. It was hard enough to go through the roller coaster of emotions as a listener. I can't imagine what it was like making this project. Again, no spoilers here, but come chat with me in the Facebook group when you're ready to debrief, and do not miss this above and beyond stellar series, Beyond All Repair. Find out next time who will be in the number 1 spot now that Beyond All Repair has concluded. Let me know what trending shows are in your top 3 and what show fell through your podcast queue trapdoor. I'll meet you back here soon to dust off another superb true crime show from the archive for your next feeding fix. That's all for today's True Crime feed. Don't forget to sign up for my weekly newsletter where I post links to my top 3, sometimes 4, favorite shows of the week and bring you fabulous visual aids for every episode. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to join the conversation. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave a review and tell your fellow partners in crime to tune in to True Crime Feed. Thanks for riding along and allowing me to be your audio accomplice. Join me next time for another feeding.